Sometimes you feel like you're just... You feel like you're just a person hanging off the edge of a bridge with so many people hanging on your arms. And thankfully there were many people on the bridge who were watching. And bit by bit God gets through to them, and they come and they pull one up and the load gets lighter. And another person pulls it up, and your load gets lighter. And another person hears God and they come and help you and the load gets lighter still. But it doesn't change the fact that all across the bridge are thousands of spectators who dares go and help, even if God tells them to, because they're scared you'll pull them in with you. They're scared you'll go over the edge of the bridge trying to help those people, and if they grab onto you, or if they grab onto those people, that they'll go over there with them. And the difference between the spectators who are watching and those who come forward and grab a person and pull them up, it's faith.
Give, always give what you can, even if you are lost your lines in the sand. And dig, always dig a little deeper. Sometimes it's hard to be my brother's keeper. Love, so you let love in. Baby, I am home.
Hey guys, so I want to talk about something that's been going on the last few days because it's sitting heavy on me. Now, it's not the first time this has happened out here. I've seen this so many times, and the first time was shocking enough, but each and every time you still, if you're sensitive to other people, even if you're not sensitive to other people, but if you are, you sense on these mothers that are going through this thing that I'm about to speak about, the pain and the torment, the anxiety that they face. And let me say before I speak about it, you know, decisions in life are plentiful for us all, but I have a rule with my own decision making where I don't think it through. And that might sound irresponsible, but what I mean by that, of course I evaluate things and I assess things, but when it comes to major decisions, I find the easiest way I've ever in my life been able to do it is to get quiet, to go silent within myself and allow that collective feeling within myself that ultimately results in us making decisions, or the decision appearing inside our minds a little like a hiccup, to conjure itself, to manifest itself. And ultimately I see that as having its origins in a union with God. When you go silent, then He can speak to you, He can come through you, through your the feelings of your body, not necessarily the words and the thoughts. That is one type of decision. But there are other decisions in life that we simply must make. And you might well ask for help with that from loved ones or from God. But sometimes decisions are so forcefully horrendous for some of us to make in life that it almost seems unfair. It is unfair. That's why it seems unfair. It is unfair. And there's a thing that's going on in the world that many of you will not know about. But in developing countries, let me tell you the story of this woman so you understand what this thing is. This lady has a baby, and this baby is very small, just a few months old. She has other children as well, who are much older, 8 and 9 years old. And sadly her husband died not long ago, which has left her a widow. She herself sadly is sick, and the husband died of HIV. She too is sick, and she has the virus. I've been working with women like this for many years now. And when you're living in poverty like we are here, in this woman's instance, her husband died and they could no longer afford the rent. This left her homeless. So her and her children and a ultimately newborn child of just a few months old, were made homeless. And literally, you have to then sleep rough or beg for people to help you and hope that in a country where it's already impoverished, that someone has a little excess to share with you. Thankfully, we met this family before they'd spent too long homeless, and we've begun to help them. But as if that's not enough to bear for one mother, one human being, one very strong lady, she also had to find out from the doctor that she's HIV positive, because she was so sick and she knew her husband had died as well. Now this can happen. It can be that, maybe the husband is promiscuous or the wife is promiscuous, and they are promiscuous with the wrong person and they catch the virus. Maybe something happens inside the community. Maybe somebody cuts themselves who they're working with and haven't divulged that they are HIV positive, and they help them. These are all things that can happen. But once she discovered that, the baby was tested as well, and the baby is negative. So she has the virus and the baby does not. That in itself is a bit of a miracle. And she then has a decision, because for those of you who don't know, the HIV virus can be passed on through the breast milk as well. How dark a decision for a human being to bear, to let your child either drink milk from your body that will give them a virus which will change their lives irreparably, or let them starve. And these are decisions I've seen women making here countless times. You're too poor to afford baby formula. Sometimes in this country they simply substitute a mother's milk with cow's milk. If a mother dies and the family have money, they'll do that. But the children, they grow up with many nutritional deficiencies and stunted growth and so on and so forth. And the sickness, that's if they make it to adulthood. Some children die due to malnutrition. Other children drink of the breast milk and die of a young age anyway, because for all ARVs are very effective and can allow you to live a long and healthy life, chance infections are rife here from water, from environmental causes, from malnutrition. And despite having the ARVs to suppress the virus, you still end up with nutritional deficiencies, and the children still end up dying with this virus or by catching many things. I see it regular. Even children who take ARVs, sometimes the immune system doesn't pick up. Some take them and they react to them because only the cheap ARVs are available here with lots of side effects. And the children, they get itchy bodies and they feel sick. Some of the children say some of the brands make them crazy, like they're not really even their normal self anymore. That's how they feel when they take them. So they stop. And then before you know it, you've got children covered in fungus infections and herpes breaking out, and they've got swollen glands and anything else you can catch because their immune system crashes. But in this instance, this mother had to make a choice. Something that should be beautiful. Breastfeeding a child should be a beautiful thing. But sadly, every time she had to raise her child to her breast, she's left with the tormenting thoughts of, is this now me passing on this virus to my baby? But powerless, no choice. And we all know that misdistribution of wealth is at fault here. It's not that we live on a planet without the resources to help people. It's we live on a planet without the human beings who can learn to share. Now, the problem we have on the planet is many people look to the wealthy and say the rich people should sort this out. And I say, well, to some degree, you know, mega wealthy, absolutely. You know, you shouldn't be garnishing yourself with gold-plated Lamborghinis and so on and so forth. This is ridiculous. But other rich people provide employment and services for the planet. And they use their wealth to keep growing upon that and providing more employment. This I can understand as well. So we can't look to rich people to sort it out. Because the problem you have is, when you do that, is if you have £1,000 in the bank and you meet a child on the street here in Tanzania, you're quite possibly more than 1,000 times richer than they are. Quite possibly you're 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 times richer than they are on that given day. Now, if you say that a millionaire should do it, there are not many people who are 10,000 times richer than a millionaire, 1,000 times richer than a millionaire. You see, at which point do you stop passing the buck to someone who has more? Most of us have more than most. Most who can listen to me now definitely have more. And the misdistribution of wealth doesn't necessarily exist solely in the numbers in our bank accounts and in the cash in our pockets. Nor does it exist solely in the resources being used for distraction and entertainment. But predominantly it exists in the mentality of humanity. As I say, many will call out to the rich to do it, but there are not many people 10,000 times richer than a millionaire. So why somebody with £1,000, why can't they help the person with nothing? Why do they look to someone with more to do it? And the problem lay inside our mental governance on the planet, the way we raise and teach our children. Truth is, in this consumerist society, I agree that capitalism works, but what I don't agree with is mindless consumerism, which uses resources that destroy the planet and resources that could be used elsewhere. Consumerism can be a necessity. Technology and the creation of new technological advancements is a necessity. But at present, there are too many technological advancements which are just simply in the way of making us lazy. They prey on the laziness of human nature. This is not a good use of technology. Now, if I went out, I've said this once before, but if I went out to a supermarket owner, someone like Tesco's or Walmart, and I said to them, hey, on every aisle of your supermarket, I want to put a section of products for whatever's on that aisle. So if it's the soda aisle, I want to put empty soda bottles with a label on saying, this extra soda, instead of drinking tap water, which is ultimately a treat, ultimately a pleasure, can provide life-saving medication for 4 innocent children on the planet. So would you mind not having your bottle of Coca-Cola, your bottle of Fanta this week, and providing that life-saving medication so 4 innocent children need not die and need not suffer to get to that point of death? I could put in the wine aisle empty bottles of wine in one section, and on those empty bottles of wine I could leave a note saying, hey, for the cost of these bottles of wine, you can educate a child and give them full-time medical access and meals for a month for the cost of this one bottle of wine. Do you really need that bottle of wine? Is it really going to further you as a person? Or could you do without on this one occasion? Could you do without on 2 occasions, perhaps? 3, 4. I could go to a clothing shop, and for every rack of t-shirts, for everyone seeking designer clothes before theirs have worn out, I could put an empty coat hanger with a little sign hanging on it saying, for the cost of this t-shirt, you can feed, educate, give medical access to a child for 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, for some t-shirts a year. You can make sure that a child On top of all that is not suffering day in, day out, labouring in a quarry. "365 days of the year, and I have countless faces dancing in my mind as I say that. As I run on an evening, I often run to the quarries where I know the children are to see if there are any stragglers that we've missed with the children's fund. And there are plenty. There are parents of other children who we've helped out of child labour in the quarries who come here. And I say to them, are there any children up there at the moment? And they'll say, yeah, there's plenty. Come and help them. Some parents will say, go and help them, like you did my child. But people don't see it that way. People don't realise how ridiculous it is. If we have clothes that fit and that are okay, why do we need new ones? Why do we need to create industry and wasting resources to create new ones if ours are not worn out? Why? Why do we need to drink alcohol when we can go for a walk with our friends or a jog with them and we can feel immeasurably higher from the natural processes of our human body? You see, it's not up to rich people, is what I'm trying to say, to eliminate things like that lady's decision. She needs breast formula. It's very expensive in this country for it, actually, I've come to find over the years. But she needs it, because without it, the baby might die. Simple as that. But not only that, that poor woman has to make that choice without people helping. And if you put that breast formula on the side of a bar in a nightclub with a note on it saying, instead of this round of drinks, could you and your friends go without? So as this woman can give breast formula to her baby instead of breastfeeding the baby and infecting her with HIV/AIDS because she has no choice other than let the child starve. Thousands upon millions of people would buy the breast formula. Sadly, I can't get supermarkets to do that because it will destroy their business. I can't get consumerist businesses to do that because it'll attack their business. I can't have bars do it because it'll attack their business. I can't have clothing shops do it. I can't have coffee shops do it. Nor do I say that we should abandon all of these things. But what I say is we can all do without from time to time. To those people whose hands are raw, bellies are empty, backs ache from sleeping on a concrete floor, sick, to those people, someone who can watch a YouTube video and can afford the internet. Unlike the bankers, to those who can do those things. Those that we call out to and say they should sort it out. The wealth difference is so vast between they and someone who can afford a computer or a smartphone that it's the same as equating the wealth difference between a working class person and a Premier League footballer or a singer or a banker or and I see it in their eyes when they look at me. They look at me as if to say, why can't you sort this out? The same way as when I first came here and I was immature. I used to look to the elitists, as it were, and say, why can't they sort it out? So now I do my best to try and sort it out. But I can only go as fast as God gives me resources. And God can only go as fast at distributing those resources as the people are willing to listen to He. And very few on this planet, very few are strong enough to put their thoughts aside and be silent enough for God to tell them. And that's at every level. So, sometimes you feel like you feel like you're just a person hanging off the edge of a bridge with so many people hanging on your arms. And thankfully there were many people on the bridge who were watching. And bit by bit God gets through to them, and they come and they pull one up and the load gets lighter. And another person pulls it up and your load gets lighter. And another person hears God and they come and help you and the load gets lighter still. But it doesn't change the fact that all across the bridge are thousands of spectators who dares go and help, even if God tells them to, because they're scared you'll pull them in with you. They're scared you'll go over the edge of the bridge trying to help those people, and if they grab onto you, or if they grab onto those people, that they'll go over there with them. And the difference between the spectators who are watching and those who come forward and grab a person and pull them up, it's faith. And I wouldn't trade all the money in the world for faith, because it can't even bring you a crumb of the security that having faith in God brings you. Anyone can empty your bank account or empty your wallet, but no one can take away prayer. You'll always own that. And when God answers many, you end up with an absolute trust. That He'll do what He can. I just wish other people would make space to hear God, so as I don't have to look in the eyes of women like this every week, men and children. Because that's what it's all about, isn't it? I hate suffering. I hate to go to bed suffering. I hate to go to bed worrying about something. I hate to go to bed in pain, physical, mental. So if I can avoid other people doing it, then I will. That's what it's about. At the end of the day. Our ancestors have done a very good job at making the world unbearable. The opposing energy has done a very good job at making the world and life unbearable for many. So, we have to make it bearable again. And once it's bearable for everyone, then we can start making it enjoyable. For all, actually, I much enjoy making life bearable for people than what I used to do for enjoyment. So, God bless, guys. Bye.
give what you can, even if your allies draw lines in the sand and dig. Always dig a little deeper. Sometimes it's hard to be my brother's keeper. Love, so you let love in. Baby, I am home in the wake of your skin, and it's crazy how we wear a ceremony. Always be open to your path and your journey, yes. She cradles my loneliness, our home, let her forage nest. Universal test, feel the weight of my love, put your hand on my chest and rest. In the cradle of my arms, the battle that we face is the place where our scars come from. And to pick up the gun, my love, we are destined to teach these ones to be brave and never run away. Courage is birthed from the womb on the first light of day. Yeah, the day you were born, you came out perfect, never meant to be torn in silence. Never been so loud in the violence, never been so proud of a people. When we're fighting for a change, not afraid to lose it all despite all the rage. We are animals and we cannot be caged. Provoke us to fight, so we burn a little sage and write poetry. Wiser than the enemy will ever be, the minority and authority. Are you here to protect or arrest me? I can't tolerate the hate and I'm losing sleep. Can't breathe cause they're choking out the war in me. Immorality, yeah. Love letters to God. I wonder if she reads them or if they get lost in the stars. Stars in the stars.